lot of examples of AI systems being deployed in a space where, because they were trained on past information or older data, might exacerbate certain harms, or even just because there was a tremendous sampling bias in the information available. We see this right now with all of these systems that were built on the open web, right? That, like, well, the open web is disproportionately American, and embodies a lot of values and ideas that people in our context might share. And so, um, I want to give an example that I think probably no one has thought about here. Maybe you have, but something that I think could be an interesting kind of counterpoint to our traditional narratives about what harm looks like with AI systems. And the example I want to use to call upon my comment that AI takes a lot of different forms and it's not all a chat interface. One form of AI that every one of us has experienced is spell check. Now, some people might say spell check, that's not AI anymore. Although I would say that judging by how poorly my phone has been doing recently, they're putting a lot more AI into these spell check systems. Um, One of the things that spell check does is it tries to match a series of characters or letters that you've typed to a known set of dictionaries, or to a distribution of patterns that we could expect someone might have meant to type. And one of the things that spell check is really great for is, making things more efficient and making it easier for people to type, especially on the go. On the other hand, something that spell check does is it can calcify our language. We saw this with the advent of the printing press as well, when people stopped doing script by hand and started using movable type. We started to kind of solidify around a particular set of characters or glyphs that we use in our languages. And similarly, as we use spell check, we've begun to standardize the way that we speak and the order of words that go together. You might sometimes have seen the predictive type suggesting something that maybe wasn't 100% what you were going to say, but it was like 95%. And so you just go with it because it's convenient. Now, I want to zoom out a little bit from the specific example of spell check. I think that there are some spaces, certainly if you have a name that doesn't show up in a spell check dictionary, it can be incredibly frustrating and feel very erasing, or it can be incredibly annoying when people consistently misspell your name because their spell check replaced your name with what it believed to be the correct information. But if we expand a little bit beyond this and we imagine now we're not just using spell check and kind of autocomplete for a word or a sentence phrase, we're beginning to use generative AI models to write much larger pieces of text. And so, carrying on from the printing press to spell check to the generative AI systems that we have today, I think that when we think about the way that AI systems can calcify and carry forward legacies of historic ways of thinking about the world, the larger and larger set of information that we use these tools to automate, the more we risk our own ability to adapt and change and ultimately innovate, whether that's new letters in the alphabet or new words and spellings of words, or even new entire paragraphs that we might write. And so I think that when we think about the harms from AI, sometimes it's very explicit, like someone being rejected from an insurance claim, or having a misdiagnosis in a hospital. But there are also subtler ways in which incorporation of technology in our culture can shape the people that we are and the values that we espouse. And I think that we can look at this trend and be more critical of the ways that technology can sort of shape and frame our culture. And, something that you mentioned at the beginning around the political economy of these tools, really bring a critical eye to who is it that is in control of these technologies and what does it mean to actually shape the outputs of these systems.